She was 5 years old, sitting alone on a broken bench in the orphanage garden, talking to a flower like it was her mother. Every other child had been picked. Every other child had a family waving goodbye. But not her. For 3 years, nobody wanted her. Then one rainy afternoon, a man in a wheelchair rolled up to that same garden, stopped, and stared at her like he'd seen a ghost. What he said next would change both their lives forever. This is not fiction. This is what happens when a broken man meets a forgotten little girl. My name is Daniel, and I want to tell you about the day my life actually began, even though I was already 34 years old when it happened. Before that day, I was nothing but a shell of a man. 3 years earlier, a car accident took my wife and my legs in the same 5 seconds. I walked into that intersection a husband and a father-to-be. I woke up in a hospital bed, alone, paralyzed from the waist down, with a nurse holding my hand and telling me my wife hadn't made it. Our baby hadn't made it either. She was 7 months pregnant. After that, I stopped living. I sold our house because I couldn't stand looking at the nursery weed painted yellow. I moved into a small apartment with ramps and grab bars, and I let my friend stop calling because I never answered. My mother begged me to see a therapist. I told her I was fine. I wasn't fine. I was a man waiting to disappear. The only reason I left my apartment that Tuesday was because my physical therapist, a stubborn woman named Rosa, insisted I needed fresh air and sunlight, or she'd stop treating me. I rolled my wheelchair 3 blocks to the nearest park, but it was closed for repairs. The only other green space nearby was the garden behind Maple Grove Orphanage. I'd passed it 100 times and never once looked twice at it. That day, something made me turn in. The garden was small, a little overgrown, with a stone path leading to a bench under an old oak tree. And there she was, a little girl, maybe 5 years old, sitting completely alone, whispering to a dandelion cupped in her tiny hands like it could hear her. I don't know why I stopped. Maybe it was the way she sat so still, like she'd learned that nobody was coming, so there was no point in looking up anymore. I recognized that stillness. I lived in it every single day. "Hi there," I said, rolling closer. She looked up, startled, then relaxed when she saw the wheelchair. Kids are strange like that. Sometimes broken things make other broken things feel safe. "Are you a grown-up who got left here too?" she asked. Something cracked in my chest. "No, sweetheart. I'm just visiting. What's your name?" "Emma," she said. "Nobody wants me because I ask too many questions and I don't sleep good. The Websters almost adopted me last year, but they picked my roommate instead. She doesn't cry at night." I didn't know what to say. I was a grieving, paralyzed man who barely knew how to take care of himself. And this little girl was telling me, calm as anything, why she wasn't good enough to be loved. "I think you're asking exactly the right amount of questions," I told her. She smiled, really smiled, like nobody had said something like that to her in a long time. We talked for 20 minutes about dandelions, about her favorite color being the yellow that's almost gold, about how she wanted a dog someday, even though the orphanage didn't allow pets. When Rose's reminder buzzed on my phone, I told Emma I had to go. Her face fell so fast it physically hurt me to watch. "Will you come back?" she asked. I almost said the polite adult lie. I almost said maybe, but something in her eyes stopped me. "I'll come back Thursday," I said. "I promise." I don't know what made me keep that promise. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the ghost of the daughter I never got a hold. But Thursday came, and I was there. And Thursday after that. Within 2 months, I was coming 3 times a week, and the staff at Maple Grove had started calling me by name. One of the caretakers, an older woman named Miss Patrice, pulled me aside one afternoon while Emma was inside washing up. "You know, she asks about you every single day you don't come," she said. "She's been through 6 failed matches, Daniel. Families that visited twice and vanished. If you're going to keep showing up, you need to be sure. Because if you disappear on her too, I don't think she recovers from that." Her words hit me like the accident all over again. I went home that night and sat in the dark for hours, staring at the yellow nursery paint can I still hadn't thrown away. I thought about my wife, about the baby girl we were supposed to have. I thought about how I'd build a wall around myself so high that even grief couldn't climb out. And I thought about Emma, sitting on that bench, whispering to a flower because there was nobody else to listen. The next morning, I called a lawyer and asked what it would take for a single disabled man to adopt a child. He was honest with me. It would be hard. Home studies, interviews, background checks, financial reviews, and a system that often overlooked people like me. But he said one thing that stuck. The hardest part isn't the paperwork. It's proving you won't quit. I didn't quit. For 8 months, I fought through every form, every interview, every doubtful look from caseworkers who saw a wheelchair before they saw father. There were setbacks. One caseworker flatly told me a disabled single man wasn't an ideal placement. I nearly gave up twice. But every Thursday, Emma would run, well, half run, half skip, across that garden to meet me, and I couldn't let her down the way everyone else had. I actually found strength during that fight from something unexpected. Late one night, unable to sleep, I stumbled across a channel called Hero Dad Stories, and watching real fathers talk about choosing their kids against every odd reminded me that love isn't about perfect circumstances, it's about showing up broken and staying anyway. The final court date came on a cold December morning. Emma wore a yellow dress, her favorite color, the yellow that's almost gold, and sat next to me at the table, swinging her legs because they didn't reach the floor. The judge looked over the paperwork, looked at us both, and asked Emma directly, "Do you know what's happening today?" Emma nodded seriously. "Daniel is going to be my dad forever. Not a maybe dad, a real one." The judge smiled, signed the papers, and just like that, after 3 years of silence in my apartment and 5 years of loneliness in her garden, we became a family. We still visit that orphanage garden sometimes, not because we have to, but because it's where we found each other. Emma is 11 now. She still asks a lot of questions, and I answer every single one, because I never want her to think silence means she's not worth talking to. I used to believe my life ended in that car accident. I was wrong. It just went quiet for a while, waiting for a 5-year-old girl with a dandelion in her hands to remind me that broken people can still build something beautiful together. Sometimes the family you're searching for isn't the one you lost. It's the one that's sitting alone in a garden, waiting for someone to finally stop and say hello.